Well, good Saturday evening. This is Caleb here with Indiana Weather Online, Indiana Weather Network. We have a lot to talk about here over the next 30 minutes or so. We're going to be talking about our upcoming storm system that will be moving into the region overnight tonight into tomorrow. We're going to have quite the weather whiplash over the next 36 hours. We're going to be in the 50s and even mid 60s tomorrow afternoon. And then get this, temperatures will drop by 40 degrees in the matter of hours overnight starting tomorrow night. We're going to go from the 60s and then the bottom falls out and we'll be in the teens and 20s by Monday morning. So thank you for joining us here. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. We have a lot to talk about. If you guys have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those throughout the presentation and also at the end, of course. Here's a live look at visible satellite. As you can see here on satellite, you can see we have our upper level low. You can see that spinning there in just north of Montana, up just off to the east of British Columbia. You can see that upper level low spinning there. This is a part of an Arctic trough that will be moving down out of the Canadian prairie, moving down into the Midwest region. And this is going to be really the main driver for severe weather, thunderstorms, but also crashing temperatures starting Sunday night into Monday morning. Looking across the Midwest and the Central Plains, you can see some upper level clouds forming here. This is associated with some deep moisture that is being pulled northward ahead of our system, moving out of the Gulf here. If we turn on water vapor, this will show us how much moisture we have in the air. Here you go. Here's a live look at that. You can see quite a bit of mid to upper level moisture here associated with our upper level low. That'll be bringing us a lot of moisture. Tomorrow's actually going to feel quite humid throughout the day here tomorrow. Let's look at models here. This is the HRRR model. This is a short-term model, a numerical model. It's a mathematical model. So this model here we look at for near term and really a list of ingredients that we have going into the day tomorrow. So this is simulated radar or reflectivity. This is what the radar could look like. It's not perfect, but it gives you a general idea of what to expect over the next 24 to 36 hours across the region. Here we are tomorrow morning. This is 4 a.m. Some scattered showers are possible across northern Indiana, north of Indianapolis, early tomorrow morning. Our warm front is lifting north by this time. A warm front sitting right around Indianapolis by this time. Colder air to the north and warm and humid air south of Indianapolis by tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. We also could have some patchy fog developing during this time as the warm front lifts north, kind of like what we had the other day, where we had some fog develop as that warm front lifted north on Friday. A similar setup tomorrow. As that warm front lifts north, we have warm air overriding cold air, and that temperature difference sets up an inversion. We could have some fog. So do watch out for that. Visibility could be quite dense at times, around a quarter of a mile, maybe half mile at times going into tomorrow morning. Even a little bit of freezing rain if you know anybody traveling north on US 24 towards the Toledo area or towards the Detroit area, could have some freezing rain up there early tomorrow morning. Here we go into tomorrow morning. Here we are at 8 a.m. Our warm front still situated just north of Indianapolis by this time, sitting between about Springfield, Illinois, over to the Kokomo area, Grant and Jay County. So just south of the US 24 corridor. Here we have some isolated thunderstorms developing by this time. There is a possibility some of these could be strong at this point in time. This is 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. These will likely be elevated in nature, meaning the cloud bases will be rather high. This really limits the risk to torrential rainfall and small hail. Could have some hail with some of these thunderstorms early tomorrow morning, and also torrential rainfall. Here we are at 10 a.m. The warm front still lifting north. The warm front sitting between Lafayette and Kokomo, over to the Wells, Adams County, Jay County line, Highway 18, in that corridor there, along and south of US 24 is where our warm front is at 10 a.m. Showers and thunderstorms across northern Indiana. Small hail, perhaps maybe a few instances of quarter-size hail. Can't entirely be ruled out, especially if you get some stronger updrafts in some of these storms, but also some ponding. Very concerning for training showers and thunderstorms. Some areas could see some locally heavy rainfall across northern Indiana early tomorrow morning, especially north of US 24. I think has really the best setup for heavy rain, training thunderstorms, training meaning storms moving over the same areas again and again, just like a railroad train, how they follow the same track. These thunderstorms are going to be following the same path tomorrow morning, and that is along our warm front as it lifts north. That'll not only bring warmer temperatures across Indiana, but also those showers and thunderstorms across northern Indiana as well. Main risk with these gusty winds and some hail, perhaps up to quarter size, can't be ruled out as well as our warm front lifts north. And going into tomorrow afternoon, better instability works into the region, especially across the Indiana Illinois border. Could have some instability building there. But we do expect a line of showers and storms to develop along our cold front, very similar to what we had about 10 days ago, where we had a strong cold front come through, dropping temperatures by 30, 35 degrees overnight. Along that cold front, we had a really narrow line, a really skinny line, only about less than 5 miles wide, really. Just a real skinky little line move across the state, responsible for winds anywhere between 30 miles per hour and even a few reports close to 60 miles per hour. That's kind of what we expect here along this line. And then behind this line, crashing temperatures. Temperatures are going to go from the 60s, 30s, 20s, with wind chills near zero on Monday. The bottom just drops out on Monday. It's not going to be a nice day. As we go back here to a little bit later, here we are at 7 p.m. on Sunday. This is Sunday evening, 7 p.m. Here's our squall line moving through Indiana, kind of loosely organized. We call this a segmented line, a QLCS. That's a weather term for quasi-linear convective system, really common in late fall and early spring setups. In this case, the late fall, early winter setup where we have a deep low pressure system moving into the region and not a lot of instability. So there's probably not going to be a lot of lightning within these showers or storms, much like what we had 10 days ago. We'll have a narrow line along the initial cold front itself. We could have some gusty winds through here. There is a non-zero risk for a tornado or two because we have a surplus amount of wind shear tomorrow. But something that we really don't think we're going to have a lot of is instability, which is good. That's really going to keep storms in check from what otherwise would be a much larger event if we had this instability. If this type of system were to come in May, chances are we would have had that instability in place and we would have a much different story to tell. But because it's coming in early winter, we really don't have the instability tomorrow, but we may have just enough to support a strong to locally severe thunderstorm. Damaging winds is the main hazard, 50 to 60 miles per hour, and small hail, but there is a non-zero risk of a tornado or two across Indiana. Because of the risk of severe weather, the Storm Prediction Center out of Norman, Oklahoma does have a large marginal risk. That is a level 1 out of 5, so it's the low end risk tomorrow. Widespread severe weather is not expected, but as I said, there's just enough instability to marginally support a strong to locally severe thunderstorm tomorrow. Damaging winds would be the primary risk, followed by a spin-up tornado. And we do have our tornado area here highlighted by the Storm Prediction Center. Again, very low end. Damaging winds, primary risk. Tornado, non-zero, but low end, highlighted in areas in green, mainly associated with our warm front tomorrow, would be where the greatest risk, again, when I say greatest, low, non-zero, of a brief spin-up tornado can't be ruled out here tomorrow as these storms lift north along the warm front. Some of these storms here we'll have to watch tomorrow morning for any rotation, but I do think they'll remain elevated in nature. Our main event will be this little line along the cold front, bringing gusty winds to perhaps locally severe winds of 50 to 60 miles per hour. Looking at our temperatures, though, here's the main story. Here's our warm front. This is 3 a.m. We're going to warm up overnight tonight. So those of you in southern Indiana, not really going to cool off all that much. Here we are right about now. This is 8 o'clock on this model. Pretty close to what we're seeing on surface observations. Evansville and areas south of Bloomington are not going to cool down tonight. In fact, you're going to warm up. Areas Indianapolis and north also going to warm up here tonight. Here we are at 8 p.m., 10 p.m., and here's midnight tonight. Here's our warm front situating from about Springfield, Illinois, all the way down just south of Indianapolis, reaching up to the Lafayette area, coming down near the Seymour area. This is by 1 a.m. The area north of the warm front and along the warm front here across central Indiana, we're going to have to watch for dense fog. Dense fog could develop here as our warm front overrides our cold air. We get a temperature inversion set up. And as mentioned before, we have lots of moisture to work with. Moisture is very, very high the air is very saturated with this system. So that's also going to help promote maybe some drizzle within our fog as well. Kind of a heavy a fog with some drizzle mixed in at times as well. Here we are at 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. A warm front moving into the Indianapolis area. Not quite to Kokomo yet, but it could be. Again, this is a model run here. Shows what could happen. It could be off by an hour or so. Do keep that in mind. Warm front here tomorrow. Here we are at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. And then we really start to warm up by 11 a.m. tomorrow. Again, along and south of the US 24 corridor, we'll have the warmest temps here tomorrow. Highs approaching 70 degrees in southern Illinois, and even perhaps southern Indiana near Evansville could get close to 70 degrees. 60s, Fort Wayne and South Lafayette, you're in the 60s tomorrow. Indianapolis, mid-60s tomorrow. And here comes our cold front. And look at this, 17 degrees in Iowa at 5 p.m. tomorrow night. And southeast Illinois, almost 70 degrees. Temperatures are going to drop 40 degrees or so within less than 10 hours tomorrow night. A very sharp cold front tomorrow. Here we are at 7 p.m. Central Indiana, Eastern Indiana, still in the 60s, but we're getting into the 40s now across Western Indiana. I think Vigo County, Lake County, Porter County, getting into the 40s now. Here we are at 9 p.m. tomorrow night. Eastern Indiana along the US 27 corridor down to Seymour, Indiana, think Decatur, Fort Wayne. You're still in the upper 50s, perhaps low 60s. But look at Western Indiana. By this time, we could have a 30-plus degree difference in the state of Indiana, with the eastern half of the state still in the 50s and 60s, in the western half getting into the 30s and 20s at the same time. So a very sharp drop-off here once our cold front comes through. Our last cold front about 10 days ago, we kind of had a gap between the Arctic air and the really warm air. We're not going to have that this time. It's going to drop very, very quickly. This is 9 p.m. tomorrow night. And by 11 o'clock, the entire state will be dropping into the 30s and now 20s in the Northwest Indiana. And here we are at 4 a.m. on Monday. 14 degrees in Lake County, 20s in Indianapolis, and 20s throughout the entire state of Indiana. And here we are at 8 a.m. on Monday. Sun's coming up by this point in time. We're in the low teens across northern Indiana, northwest Indiana, and 20s across southeast Indiana and southern Indiana. Very, very cold, but look at the wind chills. Yeah, those are negatives. Below zero wind chills possible Monday morning at 8 o'clock from Fort Wayne, Lafayette, Indianapolis, and north. Gary, think Terre Haute and north. Could see wind chills 0 to minus 10 across central Indiana and northern Indiana Monday morning. But look at this, single digits throughout most of Indiana Monday morning. If you go back just not even 12 hours, this is Sunday night at 5 p.m. We're in the 60s across the good majority of Indiana. But then we wake up Monday morning, our wind chills are below zero or in the single digits. Just a tremendous shot of cold air moving into the state of Indiana over the next 24 hours. But let's talk about our severe weather here first. We talked about that a little bit. But let's talk about what our hazards are and what ingredients we have to work with here tomorrow. When talking about severe weather, we talk about SLIM, shear, lift, instability, and moisture. What do we have to work with that could support severe weather? As you notice here, wind shear, plenty of wind shear tomorrow. We have just a surplus of wind shear across the Midwest here tomorrow. Wind shear is winds changing in speed and direction with height. We need that to really support severe weather, but also storm organization as well. If you don't have wind shear, storms are loosely organized. Think daytime thunderstorms. We have plenty of wind shear tomorrow. We also have plenty of lift tomorrow too. That's the ability, the atmosphere's ability to get the air rising, to force those air parcels to rise, condense in the clouds, and grow into thunderstorms. We have that tomorrow thanks to a really strong cold front and also a really strong upper level low across the region as well. Notice our limiting factor, though, instability. Instability is hard to get this time of year, to say the least. In the summertime, typically this X is way up here, and what we don't have is shear and lift. But in our late season, severe weather events, typically we're on the high end of shear and lift, but on the low end of instability. And that's because our instability is not really produced from the sun this time of year. It's transported here, meaning it doesn't just come here, it's brought here from the south, from the Gulf of Mexico, brought up north from the upper level low itself, drawing that moisture and heat and instability northward. But because we do have some cloud cover tomorrow as well, the sun does help a little bit in destabilizing the air, mixing it, allowing the air to rise and destabilize further. But because we have a really moist profile, look at our moisture all the way up here on the high. We have a really moist column here from the ground all the way up to where the clouds are and beyond. That will allow clouds to continue throughout the day and really prevent a lot of daytime heating. If we were to see more breaks in the clouds tomorrow, especially early in the afternoon, we could be talking about maybe a little bit more severe weather tomorrow. So something we're going to have to keep an eye on. But again, right now, instability does look to be on the low end tomorrow. In terms of severe weather threats tomorrow, low risk for a tornado, not zero, but we could have a tornado or two possible, especially across central and northern Indiana. Damaging winds, 40 to 60 miles per hour. I think this will be the primary risk tomorrow in any thunderstorm that forms. Again, we have a lot of wind shear tomorrow, both in speed and direction. You go up about a kilometer in the air, a little less than a mile above our heads. We have about 70 mile per hour winds up there. So really strong winds aloft. If any storm is able to tap into that and bring that down to the ground, could have winds 40 to 60 miles per hour. Hail, kind of a medium risk early on. I don't think our main squall line along the cold front will have any hail. Again, no instability. That really limits our updrafts in our storms. But the storms along the warm front tomorrow morning, we could have some extra lift there, could have some hail up to quarter size, but also flooding. Flooding is a concern, especially across northern Indiana, right along our warm front where those storms train, where they move over the same areas again and again with rainfall rates over an inch an hour. Watch out for street ponding and heavy rainfall rates as well. Definitely something we're going to have to keep an eye on. It's a low end risk. It's not a high end severe weather event. We're not expecting a severe weather outbreak or anything like that, but a locally strong to severe thunderstorm can't be ruled out. In the event that you are in a warning in your area, it's good to know where you take shelter at. What are your worst options and what are your best options? As always, you need to go to interior room on the lowest level of your home, away from windows, basement preferred. But if you don't have one, put as many walls between you and the outside. Think layers. Put as many layers between your body and what's going on outside. The more layers you have, the better protected you are. Going back here, we'll go back to the comments here a little bit and see if we have any questions going on. Whoops, don't know why that popped up. Sorry about that. But after our cold front, we do have some snow to talk about as well. Could have some backsides. Most areas seeing a trace once you're south of 24, 1 to 3 inches, perhaps 2 to 4 across northern Indiana. Think Steuben and Elkhart County, and maybe getting to LaPorte County a little bit. Could see 2 to 4 inches of lake effect snow by Tuesday. So looks like we got Tiffany in here. We got Matt in here, Robert, Brad, Crystal, Steven, Leslie, Pat. Great to see you guys. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in chat. Be happy to answer them here for you momentarily. One thing else to talk about here while you're getting your questions are the winds. We're going to have really strong winds with this system here. Winds tomorrow be out of the south-southwest, gusting sustained probably about 15 to 25 miles per hour, gusting to 30 to 40 miles per hour tomorrow afternoon. This is one of the main ways we get warm this time of year. It's transported here. We don't have the sun heating us up. We have the upper level steering patterns warming us up, bringing that warm air from the south northward. And that's why we get really windy in these late season systems here, bringing that warm air called warm air advection up from the south into Indiana. So winds tomorrow, south-southwest at about 15 to 25 miles per hour, gusting to 30 to 40 miles per hour. I do think the strongest winds will be a little bit elevated, but we could have a stronger gust of 40 mixed down to the ground as well. Here's our cold front moving through tomorrow night. So we could have some stronger winds, perhaps 40, 50, even 60 miles per hour along that line of showers. Likely not a lot of lightning in that line. Maybe a few flashes here and there, but I really don't think we're going to have a lot of lightning in this main line, but we could have some thunderstorms across northern Indiana, especially earlier tomorrow morning. Here we go tomorrow night. This is when the winds really pick up. Sunday night into Monday. We have a really strong low pressure system. We actually call this a bomb cyclone. We're likely going to see a rapid pressure drop with this system as well. As it moves across the northern UP, we're going to see it drop potentially 24 millibars in 24 hours. That's why we call it a bomb cyclone. But with that rapid drop in pressure, we're going to see some really strong winds. Northern Indiana could gust to 50 to 55 miles per hour Sunday night into Monday. Central Indiana, 40 to 50 miles per hour. Southern Indiana, 30 to 35 miles per hour. This is max wind gusts. Wind speed at this time, right around 35 miles per hour. We're close to high wind warning criteria here in Northern Indiana. We need that sustained at 40 miles per hour for at least an hour. We're close. The National Weather Service in Northern Indiana has wind advisories in place right now. But if confidence is gained in seeing sustained at 40 miles per hour or gusts to 60, we may see a high wind warning get issued. We'll just have to see how confidence is and what the overall data trends are. Either way, a low end high wind warning, high end wind advisory, scattered power outages are possible, especially across Northern Indiana, where we can see wind gusts up to 50 to 55 miles per hour. Definitely not out of the question. A little bit less as you go further south. The closer you are to the area of low pressure, the tighter the pressure gradient and the stronger the winds will be. Look at Lake Michigan here. 60 mile per hour winds possible near Lake Michigan here. Definitely not out of the question. We could have 20 to 25 foot waves on the southern Lake Michigan as well. So beach erosion, lakeshore flooding, stay off the piers this weekend if you're along the lakeshore in Michigan. The winds do subside going into Monday night and into Tuesday morning. We do see that subsiding there. But with these strong winds, bring very cold wind chills, 0 to perhaps below 0 across much of Indiana. So going back to your questions here, what about Vincennes area, Indiana? Again, showers and thunderstorms tomorrow, starting out warm for you guys with that line moving in later in the day. Not a lot of rain for you. I think the heaviest rain will be across northern Indiana. In fact, let's take a look at this area there. You can see 1 to 2 inches of rain possible across northern Indiana, at least on this model here, really depending on where that warm front sets up and how the thunderstorms track along it tomorrow morning. But I do think the heaviest rain amounts will be in northern Indiana. Again, highest likelihood for power outages, northern Indiana. Exact probabilities for locations. I wish I was a genie. I wish I could tell you that. But will your location lose power? I don't know. It all depends on how those trees hold together Sunday night into Monday morning. Hopefully no one loses power, but I do think some scattered power outages are definitely not out of the question, especially across central and northern Indiana. With the highest probability, I think, being northern Indiana, closer to that low pressure, having some sporadic gusts 50 to 55 miles per hour, especially once you go into northern Indiana. I think north of Kokomo having the strongest winds. Yeah, flights are delayed. Yeah, not surprised to hear that. Anytime you get a large scale weather system, you may even have clear weather. Tonight we're pretty nice in Indianapolis, all things considered, but there could be some delays, especially if you're traveling somewhere where this weather system is already impacting those areas. Those delays just kind of have a domino effect where you may be sunny in your location, but still have a delay due to bad weather somewhere else. So we're definitely going to see some flight delays tomorrow across the region and into Monday for sure. Snow amounts to be pretty light, Jim. Heaviest amounts across northern Indiana with lake effect snow. Think LaPorte, Elkhart, Steuben County, 2 to 4 inches up there for them. In fact, I'll go ahead and show you that here. And we'll talk about that briefly here as well. So here we go. Again, traced, kind of a traced maybe a quarter of an inch or less across much of Indiana. Could have some backside snow squalls kind of move through, but I think the highest amount for snow will be along the I-80 corridor, along the toll road, and from LaPorte, LaGrange, Elkhart County, those areas up there in northern Indiana. Could see 1 to 4 inches of snow, depending on where those lake effect bands deviate is. We're going to see more west to east orientation here with the winds versus northwest to southeast. So that's going to keep the heaviest amounts north of Indiana into Michigan. But northern Indiana along I-80 especially could see an inch or two. But something else to keep in mind here, if you're traveling on I-80 tomorrow, whiteout conditions, blizzard-like conditions are possible in terms of visibility. when we have snow squalls coupled with winds 35 plus miles per hour, that really creates hazardous travel on the roadways, not because of the snow accumulations are so much, but because of the visibility is so less. We could have visibilities, wind driven snow with our snow squalls with visibilities easily less than a half a mile in some places or less with quick accumulations up there. So if you are traveling north, especially in the Michigan along the 131 corridor, I 94, north of I 80, do be careful Monday, a Sunday night and a Monday, as we see the lake effect snow kick up, coupled with winds gusting to 50 to 55 miles per hour. We're just creating dangerous driving conditions all along 131 in Michigan and north of I 80. So do keep that in mind if you're traveling north. Very hazardous conditions up here from the lake effect snow. Alexis asked, what do you think about the tornado possibility for Illinois? I'm not exactly sure where Mount Carmel is. Here's what the Storm Prediction Center has right now. I don't think it's badly placed, but again, the tornado risk is quite low. Damaging winds is the primary risk. If there were to be a brief spin up, I think it would mainly be along where the area of low pressure tracks and along the warm front, where you have a little bit more spin, a little bit more instability, but it's a very low end risk. But I do think this is well placed by the Storm Prediction Center. It could even go a little bit further north as well. We could see this 2% go a little bit further north to just south of Gary to perhaps just south of South Bend. So we could see a smidge north, but overall, I think it's well placed here. So with that being said, we'll go back to tracking our storm one more time here before we cut off here. So here we are. Here's tomorrow morning. Scattered showers across northern Indiana. This is 6 a.m. Sunday morning. But at this point in time, we're warming into the 50s and 60s across central Indiana. Southern Indiana, you're in the mid-60s by 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. Do watch out for fog early tomorrow morning as the warm front lifts north, bringing that moisture up. We could have a lot of fog. Here we are, elevated showers and thunderstorms, some heavy thunderstorms across north central Illinois, north of Springfield, coming into the Lafayette area. These are along our warm front. These could have an isolated tornado risk with them, but I think the risk is quite low. I think these will be a little bit elevated in nature, reducing the risk to heavy rain, lightning, and some hail up the quarters possible if you get any stronger updrafts. Here we are at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Very heavy thunderstorms here north of the Fort Wayne along US 30, US 33, I-80. Very heavy rainfall up here. Rainfall rates up to an inch an hour or more within these storms. So do watch out for localized flooding and ponding on area roadways here as you get thunderstorms moving over the same area again and again. This is 11 a.m. tomorrow morning. And then here we are at 3 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. We're starting to see our line kind of form here. Still some heavy thunderstorms possible along the warm front in northern Indiana. These will likely be elevated in nature, but could have some small hail associated with them. And here comes a cold front, our narrow squall line starting to form here. We could have some embedded gusty winds here, some bowing segments. It'd be kind of a broken line. Think of it like this, where it may split and may have individual bowing segments with some gusty winds within that as well. If we switch to this forecast model here, it kind of gives you a little bit better idea of what I'm talking about here. Really similar, heavy showers and thunderstorms tomorrow morning across northern Indiana. And then here comes our cold front. You can see backside snow already filtering in. This is dinner time, 5 o'clock Eastern time. We have snow coming into northern Illinois, Wisconsin, northern Iowa at this time. Here's our squall line along the cold front. It'll be a real narrow line, but as you can see, it's kind of segmented where we have spots that are heavy, spots that are light, spots that are heavy. This is really similar, I think, to what we saw about 10 days ago, where we're going to have a really narrow line of showers, perhaps a few rumbles of thunder along the cold front before things really cool off. And here we are at 9 p.m. tomorrow night, cold front exiting, and then the lake effect snow really picks up Monday morning. A final look at our temperatures here as they really begin to cool off here. Here we are at 2 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. It's going to be a really nice day. It's going to smell like spring. Open your windows up if you can. It really is going to be a very nice day and a very humid day as well. Remember when I talked about how moisture profiles were very high for this time of year. As we look at our surface moisture tomorrow, let's look at our dew point tomorrow. Dew points are in the 60s. We can even see some mid 60s as some moisture pools along the cold front. It's compressed, it pools there, it congregates there. Dew points are in the 60s. It's going to feel humid tomorrow. It's been a long time since we've seen widespread 60s in Indiana, but look at the difference here. Dew points in the 20s in Iowa to 60s in Southeast Illinois. This is going to promote locally heavy rainfall as well. Very, very moist. It's going to feel humid tomorrow. It really is. So open your windows up if you can. Because if we look at our wind chills here, this is wind chills. Look at the difference here. In Illinois alone, 66, Southern Illinois, 10, 11, 9 degrees in Northwest Illinois at 6 p.m. tomorrow. Absolutely crazy for this time of year. You can see the warm front now along the I-94 corridor in Michigan. Cold front by this time starting to move into northwestern Indiana. Starting to see those colding temperatures absolutely plummeting here. If we were to play the game, find the cold front, I think it's pretty obvious on this round here. You can really see our cold front here. Temperatures at 8 p.m. tomorrow night, 60s in eastern Indiana, 20s in northwest Indiana as our cold front drops temperatures. Temperatures are going to drop by as much as 40 degrees in a matter of hours, possibly less than 8 hours, which is crazy fast. 8 to 12 hours, we could drop 30 to 40 degrees across Indiana. Here we are by 10 p.m. All of Indiana is now below freezing by this point in time or close to it. We're in the teens, northwest Indiana by 10 p.m. tomorrow night, and 30s in eastern Indiana. And here's our wind chills coming into tomorrow morning. Here's 6 a.m. Potentially below zero, -6, -5, single digits across Indiana, even getting into lower Michigan as well. As our area of low pressure really deepens here. During this time, we could have winds of 45 to 55 miles per hour across northern Indiana. That's really going to allow our wind chills. Temperatures will be in the teens by this time, but our wind chills will feel like below zero or at zero across central and northern Indiana. The cold is really going to be the big story here. I mean, just going from the 60s to below zero in under 12 hours is crazy. It's going to feel like we all get hit by a bus Monday morning. Sunday morning, we're walking out in shorts and a t-shirts. Monday morning, we wish we didn't have to go outside. That's really the moral of the story here. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to put them in there. Otherwise, I'll go over the hazards here for tomorrow one more time. Again, just in case a warning is issued, know where your safe place is, know how to get there. Mobile homes, vehicles, overpasses, outdoors. Again, you guys in those situations need to have a safe place predetermined, which means prior to a severe weather event. Here's a hint. That means now. Look around, figure out where your safe place is so you know where to go in case a severe thunderstorm warning or tornado warning is issued. Good options. Interior room, lowest level of your home, well-built structure, a basement, great ideas. If you don't have a basement, put as many layers between you and the outside as possible. Best options, storm shelters, NSSA, ICC 500 compliant, FEMA safe room, all terrific ideas. They're rated for severe weather as well. So before we get off here, I do have to shout out our sponsors here. Really want to thank Rookers Outdoor Services based in Indianapolis. If you guys have any tree damage or storm damage from tomorrow, feel free to give them a call, 317-665-3969. That is Rookers Outdoor Services in Indianapolis. I'm trying to find their logo. I don't know if it's loaded in here at the moment. But you'll see them on our pages here tomorrow as well. So do feel free to give them a call if you have any damage or anything. They'll be happy to talk to you. Doing great work there in the Indianapolis and surrounding areas. But we do have some snow possible here tomorrow as well. So with that being said, here's our look at ingredients tomorrow. A lot of moisture, a lot of lift, a lot of wind shear. Instability will be the thing to watch here tomorrow. How much instability do we gain during the day? The more instability we have, if we have any cloud breaks or the sunshine comes out, we'll have to keep an eye on that very, very closely. And then here's a look at our threats here tomorrow. Tornado, low end, higher risk for damaging winds, 40 to 60 miles per hour. Could have some hail, especially across northern Indiana tomorrow morning. I think 7 a.m. through about 11 a.m. tomorrow morning. That's round one along the warm front. Could have some hail up to quarter size up there, as well as some flooding. Know where a safe place is, and then everybody bundle up because the rug is going to get pulled out underneath of us. We're going to go from the 60s back to winter in about 8 hours. So hold on tight, buckle up. It's going to be a bumpy ride. And with that being said, I don't see any other questions here. So we'll go ahead and let you go. Have a terrific Saturday night. Have a wonderful Sunday. And I hope you all had a blessed Merry Christmas. And we'll be live here tomorrow in the event of severe weather. So with that being said, have a wonderful evening, and we'll catch you later.